You've lived in 3 different parts of the world, so is there any difference between each part in terms of physical contact?
Yeah, I have lived in Hong Kong, Guam, and the U.S. Hong Kong is in Asia, Guam is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and the U.S. is American culture. So in Hong Kong, I think most people would not touch each other, just give each other a little bow. I find that a bow is very common in Asia. If you're very good friends, you wouldn't really hug. Hugging, I think, is a very American thing to do. I think you would just touch each other on the shoulder or give each other a side embrace, a mini hug. In Guam, you would definitely greet your friends and family with a kiss on the cheek. A handshake is much too formal for island culture because island culture is so relaxed and laid back. You would only do a handshake with business partners or in a really formal setting. But usually a kiss on the cheek is what you receive and give when you see your family and friends. In the US, hugging is most common, I think, for friends and family. But if you're not friends and family, a handshake would probably be the most common.
Is the handshakes always the same, or is there different styles of handshake?
From what I've observed, Guam has American culture, so Guam handshakes and US handshakes are the same. I think in Hong Kong, it's got a British background, so that's also very similar. I don't see any difference with the handshake.
So what about young people? Is there a different way they interact physically with each other?
Yes, definitely. In Guam, I always see people do a fist bump for close buddies of theirs. Girls would definitely hug and give each other a kiss. In Hong Kong, I don't see the fist bump often. I don't think I've ever seen it at all, actually. But for close friends, I think a side embrace or a semi-embrace would happen, but mostly just some form of touch or acknowledgement of the other person. I think it's also very common for people of the same sex to hold hands in Asia and just be friends. Woman and woman hold each other's hands if they are very, very, very good friends. And it's apparently very normal. I don't know about a guy holding another guy's hand, but if a woman and a woman hold each other's hands, it does not signal that they are together as a couple. It might just signal that they are very, very good friends or sisters.
In Australia, that would be very strange.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it? Even in America and Guam.
Hi, Jake. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Shirley?
Not too bad, thanks. I thought we might talk about folk heroes today.
Sure.
I don't really know much about American folk heroes. Are there
Sure.
any that you have a favorite or?
Well, actually, my hometown in the United States happens to be known as one of the hometowns for Paul Bunyan. And
I think I've heard of that name, but I don't know anything about him.
Paul Bunyan was a lumberjack. Like, he would cut down trees, and he was supposedly a very giant man. He was huge. And I don't know if he actually ever lived in some time in the past, but maybe he was just a very large man, but somehow the stories have been passed down to say that he was as large as a house or as large as a skyscraper, or it completely depends on who you ask.
Wow. So, not sure whether he's a mythical character or a real character.
No one really knows for sure.
What did he do?
Well, some people say that he took his axe and he dragged it behind his back across the United States, and he made the Mississippi River.
Ah, so it's a kind of story to explain why something exists.
That's part of it. And also, he had a pet, too. His pet is very famous.
And what kind of pet?
His pet was an ox, but it wasn't just an ordinary ox. It was a blue ox, and it was also oversized to
Okay.
fit with his size.
What did his pet do?
Well, his pet, I think, would just carry lumber for him or something.
So about when did this story start? I mean, when did Paul Bunyan become famous, or when did people know about that story?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but like your country, the United States is a very young country and has a very young history since the European settlers came there. So I think it's maybe from a couple hundred years ago, maybe at the most.
Okay.
So, Lindsay, what about your dreams? What did you want to be when you were 10 years old?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I wasn't very realistic, but I knew I wanted to be very powerful. So I thought the dream job would be Wonder Woman. She can fly anywhere. She has the powers to do good and to help everyone. And she's very badass. So I wanted to be just like her. Unfortunately, it didn't come true, as I'm not Wonder Woman right now.
No, I can see that, but it seems like you had a good imagination as a kid. But I guess that probably changed as you got older. What about when you were 15?
Well, then when I was 15, I still wanted to be very powerful and very strong, but I had a more realistic idea of what I wanted to be. But I still didn't know a lot about the world, so I just wanted to be a very powerful businesswoman. I had no idea what kind of business, and I had no idea what that actually meant, but I wanted to wear an all-black suit and have a briefcase and go to work in a nice office and drive a nice car and do something that was very powerful. But I had no idea really what a powerful businesswoman does.
Oh, well, that seems like a pretty good dream for a 15-year-old. But I guess you probably had a better idea when you were 20, so what about then?
So when I was 20, then I still wanted to be powerful and strong. I guess you can see the common theme here. But then I had even more realistic idea of actual real professions. So at that time, I was quite social. I really enjoyed going to parties. And I was living in New York at the time. So I thought the perfect job for me would be a public relations specialist. I thought I could be one of those people that plans parties or handles the PR, the publicity for celebrities. I had a dream of maybe working for Madonna or working for a famous TV show and handling all their publicity representation.
Oh, well, that's great. It seems like you had a better idea by the time you were 20. But I guess you probably have some dreams now even. So what kind of dreams do you have now?
Well, then, when I was 20, I was quite egotistical. I just only thought about myself and how I could have more money and be more powerful. But then something changed when I started traveling and seeing the world, where I decided that I'd rather have a job that does something good for the world and gives back to the community and to the people. So now I'm a teacher, and I really enjoy that, the idea of making a difference in people's lives. And in the future, maybe when I get older, I hope to start an animal shelter so that when animals are left on the street or abandoned, they can come to my shelter and I can provide a happy home for them.
Wow, that's a great vision for the future.
Thanks. Hey, Warren.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I thought today we could talk about childhood dreams. When you were 10 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Right. Well, actually, it's a little embarrassing. I wanted to be a truck driver. I thought it would be really neat because you can just travel around everywhere and see different places all the time, and you're always on the move. But, you know, I didn't become a truck driver.
No, you didn't become a truck driver. Why is that? When did your dream change?
Well, probably when I was around 15, I I thought it would be a lot cooler to be a rock star.
Rock star.
Yeah, rock star. I really liked electric guitar at the time, and a lot of my friends were into music as well. So I didn't actually start a band, but I played with a lot of different people, and sometimes I would play with some bands, but I never really stuck to it. But I did keep playing guitar, and I ended up getting pretty good.
What kind of rock star did you want to be? Did you want to be like a heavy metal rock star or a grunge rock star?
Well, I guess versatile would be the word. I like playing a lot of heavy stuff, and maybe some folk music as well. So kind of eclectic.
So maybe a hippie rock star?
Yeah, maybe a hippie.
So then when you were 20, did you still want to be a rock star?
No, I didn't, but I still played guitar then. I actually wanted to be a classical guitarist by then.
Okay. What is classical guitar?
Well, it's funny you say that because it's not just classical music. Classical guitar is for one thing, it's a type of guitar. It has nylon strings, not the steel strings like you see on a folk guitar.
Okay.
And there's different styles you can play on it, like Spanish music or flamenco, South American music, some classical music like Beethoven and things like that, or Baroque music like
Does it
Bach.
have a singer with it? Or
Sometimes there are singers. Usually it's solo, but you can play some chamber music with other instruments as well. And yeah, I played some pieces with vocalists, but it wouldn't be pop music.
And so now you're older. Did your dream come true? Did you become a classical guitarist?
I did, but I actually decided to change my dream after I became a classical guitarist.
So what's your dream now?
Well, my dream now is to become a university professor.
Oh, and are you making steps to achieve that dream?
I am actually. I'm working at a university now, not as a professor, as a part-time lecturer, but I'm taking some courses and studying hard and hoping that my future will allow me to become a professor.
Okay. Well, unless you change your dream again, I bet you'll achieve your dream more. So good luck.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So, Shafani, you were saying that you actually worked in radio from an early age. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's right. Well, I worked on the radio at the age of 12. What basically happened was that I used to call up the radio station quite a lot, answer questions and quizzes and all that sort of stuff. And one of the announcers thought my voice was nice and so wanted me to come and work for him. Without realizing that I was 12 years old, he called me in and had me on.
So, were you a little scared? I mean, you're only 12.
It was very daunting at first. So the first couple of days, I had no idea what was going on. There was a massive microphone in front of my face, and I was told to make this show fun and interesting. So yes, it was very daunting.
Did you have any prep, or did they just stick you in front of the mic and have you react?
No, actually, there was no prompt. There were no prompts. It was all up to me. I had to come up with stuff on the spot, which was quite easy, really, because the topics were simple. It was mainly about music.
Oh,
and
like teen stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Or anything that people called up and talked about. It's a very, very childish stuff, but mainly geared at teenagers.
How did your parents feel about it?
Very proud of me, obviously. At the age of 12, their daughter was a DJ. What could be better than that? So they really enjoyed it. I remember they would listen to it every single time, record it, and then listen to it over and over again when they could.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, were you like a little celebrity at your school?
I ended up becoming one. A lot of my friends also did the same recording of my voice on the radio. It was a big thing to be a radio person and being only 12. So my friends thought it was absolutely fantastic, and they would take it to school and quite often play it around. So yeah, I ended up getting a celebrity status.
So when you were young and you were this DJ, did you envision yourself of being a DJ for a long time?
Actually, no, I hadn't. I really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun, but it was a hobby. It was never something I wanted to do as a profession.
So in the future, if you had a child and they wanted to do this, would you encourage them to do it?
I absolutely would, because if they enjoy it, and they enjoy it so much that they want to take it up as a career, why not? With me, it was a hobby.
Now, what about podcasts? Like, would you encourage young people to maybe have their own podcast?
I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it's really good to be able to express yourself, and through podcasts, they can do exactly that.